In today's episode, we are joined by Maria, who is one of the founders of Palona. Palona is really solving the world's problems as it relates to voice automation and not just ordering, but all of the different items that you can use voice for to deliver a better guest experience. She's got a fantastic pedigree where she's worked at a lot of large brands and is using all of that skill and the relationships that she has and the team that she has built to really change the world of restaurant automation and how it engages with voice. Stay around till the end where we talk a lot about how restaurants can implement this solution today to ultimately drive bottom line profit to their brand. If you don't know me, my name is Jeremy Julian. I am the Chief Revenue Officer for CBS Northstar. We wrote the Northstar point of sale solution for multi-units. Check us out at cbsnorthstar.com. And now onto the episode. Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I thank everyone out there for joining us. Like I say each and every time, I know you guys got lots of choices, so thanks for hanging out. Today is, we're going to talk a lot about kind of AI and really, quite frankly, with our guests, talk a lot about how the consumer continues to change and how some of the non-restaurant tech is really making a huge impact in our space. And so I'm going to introduce you to our guests. Maria, why don't you introduce yourself? Let's talk a little bit about where your background is and where you came from, and then we can talk about what you've built and what your latest project is.
Yeah. Hi, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to learn from you and share a little bit my story. Yeah, so I studied computer science and have been in this industry for over 2 decades. Most recently, I was VP of engineering at Google. I supported a large global product development team of several hundred people. And before that, I was at Meta. And I also have done a startup back in 2010. I left Microsoft, and when iPhone came out, I got really excited. And the product I built is called Alike. It's a local discovery and recommendation tool. So during that time, I already get to work with local restaurants and such, and how to make smart recommendations. And that product was acquired by Yahoo in 2013. So fast forward, this company Palona, I started with a few co-founders last year in 2024, and we're really excited about this generative AI technology. And then we want to bring the most advanced multimodality generative AI solution to serve restaurants and make the guest experience better and make the operations more seamless and more cost effective.
Wow, you got your pitch deck down. I like it. As far as where it came from
Yeah.
and the fact that you've got such experience, Microsoft, Meta, Google is awesome. And we were only about 55 seconds in before AI came up. And so, Maria, I would
Yeah.
love for you to define what is AI, because I think there's a lot of people that it's a misnomer. And being in the tech space, you've been in the tech space for a long time. There's a lot of these things that have been happening for some time now.
Mhm.
But I think because of OpenAI and ChatGPT has really put it in consumers' hands in a way that I think even 5 years ago or 3 years ago, nobody really knew. While some of the stuff was happening in the background with Google and some of these other large companies, now it's become almost mainstream where you talk about
Yep.
it. And so define what it is and what is this large language model and why do you think
Mhm.
it has such an opportunity to solve so many problems within the restaurant space?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. The term right now is both ubiquitous and honestly a little overused. But the AI is not a new concept, right? This concept started decades ago. And I think say 20 years ago, we avoid use this term artificial intelligence because they sound so dystopic, right? All the movies we all watch, the Sky Night and such. And so we use alternative terms like machine learning, predictive models. Let me give you an example. I worked at Zillow in the very early days of Zillow. That's long time ago, 2006, I think. Yeah. But if you think about Zillow, that is definitively artificial intelligence because you could spend $1,200 and hire an assessor to give you an estimate or assessment value, or you can go to Zillow and have the algorithm right give you a estimate, which is as we all know. But back then, Zillow never positioned themselves as an AI useful product, right? So Fast forward, I think it was 2022, a chat GPT came out in 23, 24, as you can see, spearheaded by OpenAI and Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Perplexity, the name just layers on, Apple Intelligence, right? Amazon, there is its inflection point. So a couple things happened. One is they're called large language models, LLM, and it's a descriptor. They are very large. They have many billions of parameters. And what made this possible is high performance computing. And that's why
Hmm.
NVIDIA stock is so high because of GPU. And then there was another algorithm called Transformer that really empowered massive parallel computing. So this is another of computer science called high performance computing. So it's HPC that empowered very large models that enabled all these capabilities. Yeah. So they're generative, right? Meaning they can not only return a paragraph, but even an article, even you can write a novel if you want, if you want to read that novel, a large amount of text. This is, I mentioned earlier, is multimodality. Yeah.
And I think even going back to some of your early days, it's amazing because again, it's been around. We think
Yeah.
about the friend suggestions that are on your Facebook feed or on your Twitter feed, or just even what shows up in your feed. When I sit next to my wife on the couch and we're both scrolling Instagram, her Instagram feed looks very different than mine. When I
Yeah.
log into Gmail, her Gmail looks very different than mine. And I think because the world of compute has become so ubiquitous, as you said, I think everybody likes the hyper personalization. While
Exactly.
some of the
Yeah.
previous generation and even current generation go, how do they know so much about me? They must be listening.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I'm getting the same suggestions that my 17-year-old daughter gets, I'm
Mhm.
going to start to figure out what is going on with this. And I think restaurants have been so far behind that curve as it relates to being able to do hyper localized suggestions
Mm.
because investment in restaurants hasn't been as great. It's an offline commerce thing rather than an online commerce thing. So I'd love to understand why you think now is the time to invest in this future to help restaurants to be able to excel. Because I think a lot of people have thought about it, but I don't necessarily think that the feet on the pavement have been there quite
Mhm.
yet to get there. So I'd love to kind of get your thoughts and your
Yeah.
co-founder's thoughts on
Yeah.
why investing time, money, and energy in this
Yeah.
area is the right way.
Yeah. One is I think timing is everything. I do think it's perfect timing to invest in AI automation, hyper personalization like today. Yeah. So because I think it was 2023, the technology was still immature. Now I think it's gone through this process of maturing both the foundation, the models, and also the layers of technology on top of it to really serve your guests because it's important to always deliver a perfected guest experience. Yeah. So timing on one side is technology. And of course, on the other side, you mentioned the consumer expectations. We are all used to receiving this personalized experience and we all use ChatGPT, right? And so when I call the restaurant and then I expect that instant answer targeted to me and can give me what I want right
Hmm.
away, right? We don't be put on hold. If you say put on hold, like why, right? Like yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You'll hang up and call somebody else that's not going to put you on hold
exactly.
or figure out another way to order from them.
Yeah, because the consumer expectation has just elevated to a point. It also makes the adopting this technology necessary, right? Because otherwise they'll be disappointed. And then if your competitor adopts it and you don't, and they're going to choose to go there because that's the experience that they expect and prefer.
So, Maria, talk to me a little bit about because you brushed over the surface of it, and we've had some people on that are really focused on voice AI and
Hmm.
nothing more than voice AI. And it feels like Polona's taking a different approach. You guys are taking a multimodality
Hmm.
approach, which I think is
Yeah.
very ambitious
Yeah.
and amazing from the
Yeah.
perspective of you've got voice, you've got SMS, you've got
Yeah.
an agent, you've got
Yeah.
all of these different things. So talk me through, you've given me an idea why you think now is the right time to do
Hmm.
this. From a consumer perspective, totally makes sense. From a restaurant
Yeah.
perspective, they're struggling to hire people.
Yeah.
Automation needs to be able to help them to be
Hmm.
able to deliver on their guest experience because they've got more capacity, but don't have enough people to answer the phones or do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, why did you guys take on the ambitious goal of trying to do
Hmm.
multimodality?
Yeah.
Because we've had people that are like, and just even getting voice right is hard.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nonetheless, all of these other kind of transient other areas.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are a very committed team. Right. We took on these challenges, fully understanding the complexity that it comes with, but we're very committed to solve them for our customers. And the reason why the one word answer is it's a human likeness, right? And say, you give me my number. Sometimes I call you, but say I'm going through a tunnel or something, I lost signal, I'm going to text you, you're going to know it's me, and then you remember the context. So that's exactly the experience we're delivering to the restaurants, customers, and their guests. So you don't want to just, you can only call, you cannot text. Is there a friend? Do you have a friend? You say, you can only call me, you can never text me. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you're weird. Yeah. And vice versa. And also, we just want to give them flexibility to call and text. And then you made a cute observation, and not a lot of companies offer this. We're not the only one, but very few, because it's very hard to manage the context transfer.
Yep.
Right. So we invest a lot in both the short-term memory management and long-term memory management. Yeah. So text is asynchronous, right? Call is synchronous among the phone, right? So how you manage memory and context for call and text are completely different. And we just overcame this tremendous challenge and delivered this very seamless experience. And ultimately, it's human-like, and we really want to meet the customers and the guests. We want to meet them where they are.
So talk me through what it is. Again, I think I've skirted around it, but just give our listeners directly, we are going to solve X. And I think it's great because then it's going to add to some other questions that I have for you about how you guys are going about it and what the guest experience is going to look like and
Yeah.
the staff experience. But ultimately, is it orders? Is it just finding out if they're open and the patio's open
Yep.
today? Help me
Yep.
understand what it is that you guys are trying to
Yep.
solve for.
Yeah, it's the all of the above. And going back to the ambitious and committed. So we call our agent the employee of the century, right? And of course, we all know employee of the month, right? Just imagine you have this employee and a phone rings, and he or she is going to answer the phone, and whatever the guest asks for, he or she will respond and wouldn't be like, oh, I only take orders. I'm not going to tell you the hours. So that's why it has all the general information. It can make reservations. It can place order. You can track order status. We have a process, right? We really wanted to create this virtual experience that you could say, oh, this is the best employee I could ever have. And of course, this employee would work 24/7, can serve 500 guys simultaneously, and would never call in a sick day. So a lot of the product decisions, such as why should we support both voice and text, is because this is
I love that. So, how do you get around the whole idea of we're in the hospitality industry? And a lot of people that are listening are going to say, yeah, a computer's not going to be able to do it as well as Susie,
mm-hmm.
who I just trained on how to do this. And
Yep.
I know the answer, but I'd love to hear your take and why you
Yep.
guys think that this is. You already talked about the scale, which is
Yep.
great. They also never call out sick, which is
Yep.
also amazing.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think as an owner, as an executive, you can tell it what to say.
Yep.
Whereas telling Susie what to say or Jimmy what to say, they
Yep.
may or may not decide to say it on
Yeah.
this Tuesday because they had a
Yep.
bad day driving to work or whatever else.
Yep.
But I'd love to help you have you explain why
Mm-hmm.
in the hospitality sector do you think that this is a hospitable way
Yep.
of going about doing business today?
Yep. Yep. So I love your question. I actually came to this industry with humility, not with expertise. Yeah. So I can say I'm a computer scientist, but I'm an amateur chef.
Yeah, yeah.
I can cook for maybe 4 or 5 people. They're decent, but I wouldn't say I know what hospitality means, right? And so the product is two part, right? One is the guest experience, and it just feels like a virtual employee who's serving the guests, and with voice, with text. But on the other side of the product, we actually call it Agent Academy, and this is the product for the restaurant owners. The restaurant owners will train the AI agent. Yeah. And this is also the advancement of the generative AI technology. They have the ability to learn, right? As you interact with ChatGPT, you can you can morph ChatGPT a personality you want. You can give them instructions, right? And you can say, write this longer, write this shorter. You see this new advanced AI model has this capability of listening and taking feedback and adapt to your command. And so we also tongue in cheek created the name like Agent Academy, and then the restaurant owners can define what hospitality mean for your restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, and then a QI star restaurant, and then and then some ethnic restaurant, and they all have different interpretations.
Yep.
Yeah. For example, our client, Pizza My Heart, West Coast, you probably heard of them. I know you are also from California. On the coast of California is Surfers Pizza, right? They have
Yep.
surfboard everywhere. They used to have TV ads with a surfer running around. And so find this character, Jimmy the surfer, and when you call them, this is Jimmy, and I say, hey, if hey dude, it might not be appropriate
It's not
for
appropriately
a
for Morton
French
Steakhouse,
restaurant. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
exactly, exactly, right. So we actually put the restaurant owners on the driver's seat. We just facilitated the technology, the flexibility, the adaptive, and really serve every brand. Site is right. They're
Yes.
global. We right now have a focus on pizza because Wired magazine covered us as your pizza guy is now AI, and it just naturally got a lot of attention in pizza. And then I was challenged, and they say Chicago pizza is American pizza, and then if you want to sell Chicago pizza, you have to have the Chicago accent.
Yes.
Right. And honestly, I was like, what is Chicago accent? But you can, I want to invite you to go out to our website on Palona.Ai, food and bev. Yeah, there's a link there. And then we actually have a synthesized Chicago accent. And hopefully you'll find it satisfactory.
It's funny that you
Yeah.
say that because I think it's critical. I was talking to somebody at Big Chicken, which happens to be owned by Shaquille O'Neal, and they were going to train the AI to have Shaquille answer the phone. And they were talking about Colonel Sanders answering the phone
Yep.
for Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I think it's remarkable that the tools have gotten so great. Even 2 years ago, you said it's 2025 when we're recording this. Even in 2023, the AI was not there. It was too slow. It didn't, for a real live conversation, it wasn't there. And in just 2 short years, I've been blown away when I play with tools like Palona, where I log in and I'm like, okay, let me order a cheeseburger. And it's walking me through it even better and giving me more options than even a staff member might. And so, one of the other things, Maria, that I'd love your opinion on, and I heard this last week um, at RLC. It's really this conversation of the human puts their own worldview in front of the guest every time they come at it versus the owner putting their worldview in front of the guest when you're using technology to communicate. I'd love your thoughts on that. And by that, I'm saying, you know what? They've got a worldview that says somebody that has an accent or somebody that's heavy or somebody that has children, they're going to take their own worldview and maybe offer them something that they like or don't like that they think the kids might like. And so versus the owner saying, everybody should get offered the shake regardless of whether they're here or they're there. Everybody should be offered the shake. Everybody should be offered a sample cookie, whatever that might be, because it's consistent and it comes with the brand promise. I'd love your thoughts on how AI and tools like Palona can create that standardized guest experience to get the restaurant to do what they're looking to do. And now a word from one of our sponsors. Every restaurant operator understands the chaos of a restaurant kitchen during the meal rush. Restaurant Technologies Total Oil Management Solutions is an end-to-end automated oil management system that delivers, filters, monitors, and recycles your cooking oil, taking the dirtiest jobs out of your kitchen and letting your employees focus on more important tasks. Control the kitchen chaos with Restaurant Technologies and make your kitchen safer. No upfront cost. To learn more, check out rti-inc.com or call 888-796-4996.
Yep. I love how you described the situation. On one side, we want consistency, right? We don't want one staff member talk about the product companies with the other one. It just becomes very chaotic. And so I think step one is a standard process and some consistency and the brand voice and brand value and so forth. But looking forward, right? I think the standard actually is becoming a hyper personalized or individualized experience, right? And not a universal experience. So that's why on the experience side, one is it needs to be two-way street. I call it the conversational marketing, right?
Yep.
Versus everybody get 20% off. How does conversational marketing work? Let me share with you. This is the real story. I kind of blew my mind. And when we put out the AI age, very extensive, users will react. And then I have to tell you, the reception are better than I expected, right? We have a little video of these user studies. I call it surprise and delight, right? They were just laughing and they were just like, so this, the marketing message, instead of 20% off, whatever, it becomes Happy Friday or TGI Friday, your plan for the weekend. It's like you care about, and this is message was sent to existing customers that already have a relationship with the restaurant, right? And you would see people are responding, say, I got no plans, right? And then, of course, the AI say, let's throw a party, let's order some chicken, get some, I'll hook you up. And then the other person sounds good, let's do, right? And then the funniest one was this other person said, oh, Saturday, my son has soccer game. Yeah. And it's like, awesome, great, weather's going to be now, whatever. Just like you're conversing. And then the guy said, how about I order 10 pizza for the kids for the game? Yeah. And then the agent said, that's great. You'll get 20% off. They were actually running a promotion for 20% off. But I'm ordering 10 pizza. Can I have 30%? I was like, this customer is haggling. And
Haggling with the AI.
we did give him the 30%. But can you imagine how happy he would be when he got 10 pizza and he's like sharing himself? He's going to tell, oh, look, I won. It's gamified. He earned that 30%, right?
I
Yeah. So,
love that.
yeah.
That's a
So,
really cool example.
yeah, but this is marketing, right? We give promotions, we give discounts, we incentivize the behavior, but it's so hyper personalized. And then for the individual, the guest feels like this restaurant is taking care of me, right? The restaurant knows me, understands me, and is taking care of me, and I got this. Versus they're
It's
just running a discount.
And it's funny that you say that because one of the things that I do often when I go out to eat is if I'm between two menu items, I will ask the service staff member,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm thinking about the chicken and the salmon. And I ask them, you see it come out of the kitchen every day, but the AI has the data. How many
Mm-hmm.
people are ordering the salmon? How many people are ordering the chicken? How many people are sending the chicken back? How many people are sending the salmon
Yeah,
back? What
yeah,
is the throughput? What are the star ratings? What happens on Google reviews and Yelp
mm-hmm.
for this salmon versus the chicken? Right
Yeah,
now, I do all of that myself before I go out to eat. I
yeah,
was just dining last week in Atlanta at a restaurant, and I asked the server, and the server's, oh no, this is the one that everybody gets.
mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it was a good item, but
Yeah,
I'm still now left wondering. And I know that AI can start to do that, whether I'm in chat or I'm
yeah,
in voice or I'm in SMS. It can
yeah,
say, hey, you normally like items that look like this, that feel like this, because it knows who I am and it
yeah.
knows with the restaurant. Would you like this new special because it's coming out geared towards people like you? Is that kind of where you guys are seeing the future for this with the
Yeah,
suggestive ordering and such?
absolutely. And I think the future is now, like it's happening already. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So, how do you guys go about deploying? I mean, I'd love to understand because the large language models, when I'm talking about who's going to win the Kentucky Derby or when's the
Mm-hmm.
best time to book a flight to go to Dallas, I don't want to say that's all kind of general information.
Yeah.
And I think with restaurants, because it is so hyper personalized, it's hard. It's hard to get the data into the tool in a way that you
Mm-hmm.
need to. It's going to continue to learn, but help me understand what the onboarding process looks like if I'm a
Yeah.
restaurant and I want
Yeah.
to start to deploy a solution like this.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually super simple. So we all know how busy restaurant owners and operators are, so we definitely don't want to create new work, right? So one thing is we did not create a new workflow. We just get into the existing workflow, right? Because right now you either have a staff member and also a lot of them in call center. You have a human being answering your call. And so now basically that call gets forwarded through very simple call forwarding to the AI agent. Yeah, and the AI agent would answer, and then whatever the employee, staff, or call center do, the AI agent, the agentic part is performs tasks. It will do exactly the same thing, and then we'll send payment going through the to the end user. So this is one thing I like to share with your listeners. let the AI agent process the payment first before you send the ticket to the kitchen.
Yes.
Because initially we served that we just say, oh, you can come. There were just a higher number of no shows, and then we do not want no shows because it definitely just hurts profit margin. And this is just human nature. They know it's AI. They feel like they were just messing around with it. They don't feel morally obligated to go pick up the pizza. But if you like, so now we change the workflows. It's validated, and then the order goes to the kitchen.
Not too
Yeah,
dissimilar than 20 years ago when they started online ordering. People would
yeah,
go order 20 pizzas or they'd make a phone call and they
yeah,
wouldn't come pick them up. And
yeah,
then they'd
yeah,
be frustrated because they didn't
yeah.
get that.
Yeah, but we did see an uptake on the no shows when we first. Of course, you want to put in an order so they don't have wait or whatever. But no, just payment first, and then I think all the online orders you have to pay, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
nowadays you do.
There's no cash on delivery anymore. You gotta pay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm old enough to remember a day when I could just go online order. It would send through a fax to their store. They'd make my pizza for me, and then I'd pay when I
Yeah,
got there.
yeah,
Um, so I
yeah.
love that you guys are coming in line because that's one of the things that a lot of these people they want to try these types of technologies, but they struggle.
Hmm.
Talk to me a little bit, Maria, about guest identification because in an offline commerce world, on my Google, on my Facebook, on my Microsoft, it knows who I am because I'm
Yeah,
logged into my browser, or I'm
yeah,
logged into my app, or whatever else. In restaurants, it's hard to know. And
yeah.
so identifying who that person is, whether I'm a chatbot to them, or I'm SMS, or I'm
Hmm.
calling, all
Yeah,
of those are different modalities. And so,
yeah,
how do you guys have a
yeah,
database to tie those things all
yeah,
together?
yeah. We have a very simplistic approach. It's the phone number. Yeah, we actually don't introduce another ID. It's always the phone number. If this is your phone number, this is you. And I think generally it's socially accepted. And of course, we're compliant. People can opt out of it, and if they opt out, and they're opt out. But if they opt in and then they're in the system, we remember your name, your past orders, your preference, and so forth. Yeah.
Love that. Um, Real quick, just because I'd love your opinion on it, and I've heard this from some different technologists in the space, is how do you get the AI from hallucinating? I guess
Hmm.
from the perspective of
Yeah.
I call the pizza place and now it's offering
Yeah.
me burgers.
Yeah.
And obviously, if I don't serve burgers and I only serve pizzas, you've got to be able to put guardrails around these business systems. And a
Yeah.
B2C, if Perplexity or
Yeah.
Claude gives me the wrong thing, it's just me that looks stupid when I post
Hmm.
that online. But in a restaurant environment, in a B2C environment, it's
Yeah.
hard. You got to make
Yeah.
sure that you put those protections in. I'd love to
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
you understand.
Yeah, this is a very challenging problem. And then this is just a little bit of a cautionary tale for buyers, right? Definitely do your due diligence, definitely test the product, try to put pressure on it. Yeah, so I wouldn't say the solution is 100% secure, but and then a couple questions to ask is one is grounding, right? So anti-hallucinate, the antidote is grounding, right? Grounding basically is connecting to facts, right? So you ask, is your large language model grounded? And if they say, I don't know what you mean, they probably didn't do it. Yeah. The other keyword is a red teaming. So we actually invest a lot in red teaming. So red teaming, this term originally came from publication journalism. Yeah, and then was borrowed or transferred to large language models. OpenAI has significant investment in red teaming. Basically, you try to break it, right? You
Yes.
come up with all the scenarios that it could break, right, to see if it has broken. Yeah, so this is also just a lot of investment from a technology perspective that you have to go through. And then the last one, I've seen it happen, is jailbreaking. Right. So they are attackers and they try to jailbreak. Yeah. So we definitely have done a lot of these tests ourselves, right, to make sure our models are not jailbroken and so on and so forth. And jailbroken, it could be and I think just food and beverage order, it could be a target, right? And then these smart hackers and they just mess around and they will post on Reddit and they jailbreak your order agent start giving out pizza or it can be quite dangerous. So I do want to caution buyers to do these verification before you commit because it could have both very material loss of revenue and also reputational. And
Yep.
say agent started saying curse words or whatever, they can jailbreak. Agent started acting, hallucinating, or do bad things.
Thank you for digging into that because I've just heard and I know that you have to put guardrails, especially in a B2C,
Yeah,
because you can impact a brand's image based on
yeah,
what's going on within the tech.
yeah.
Last line of questioning, just because I've heard this from time to time, and I'd love just how you guys have dealt with this is I don't say those off menu items, but those items that I call the restaurant
Hmm.
because they have all of the components, but it may not be on their menu. It may
Hmm.
be one of those things that I say, hey, you know what? My kid really wants a hot dog cut up and in their mac and cheese from
Hmm.
your restaurant. We've got mac and cheese, we've got hot dogs, but they're not a menu item. And
Hmm.
so some people I know for myself will call restaurants when we want
Hmm.
something off menu because I can't get it. I can't
Hmm.
get it on their
Online
online
order. Yep.
menu.
Hmm.
How is AI and or some form of agent, or is it just, hey, you know what? For those corner cases where it's 1% of the items, we just route them straight to a human, and the human deals
Hmm.
with those
Yep.
complexities. I'm fine with that answer. I just would love your thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we give the decision to the restaurant. So going back to Agent Academy, right, you can just give instructions and say, yes, you can take orders like this, or no, you cannot, and then just give just step-by-step instructions. It's called an Academy because the AI agent can learn, get trained, and you can also change your mind and redefine it all in a very simple, just web-based UI, just with natural language. You can just give these type of instructions. Yeah, so and then when we integrate with the kitchen display system, uh, there's also a separate item to the notes section because the kitchen, I know what
This
you
is
mean.
what they're looking
Yeah,
for. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
We have a lot of people that just say, I mean, I've heard a lot of people online ordering, text ordering, all of these different systems, voice ordering systems. They're like, no, we're just going to keep guardrails on and we're not going to let the guest get what they want, which is
Hmm.
not as hospitable as you said. And so,
Yeah.
just because you brought up another thought as you were explaining that, help me understand how the language model continues to learn inside
Hmm.
of the restaurant, because I think what they have today, if they deploy today, is going to be very different than what they have a year from now, because it's going to continue to get better. Help our
Absolutely.
listeners
Yeah.
understand how that all works, and you ensure that you're
Hmm.
continuing to drive that,
Yeah.
and that the guests are continuing to get even a better experience now than they
Yeah.
would 6 months from now or a year from now. It's going
Yep.
to continue to get better. I'd love your thoughts on that and
Yep.
how the system continues to do that.
Yeah. So I think our product, we took a somewhat unique approach, right? I'm not going to quote all the reinforcement, this, like all this computer scientific terms, but what we did, the solution, right, really is very much similar to real life, right? So that's why we have this agent academy, right? We don't assume this agent just came, we have supervisors, right? And then so staff are the of this virtual employee, good and bad, some through being supervised. Yeah. We read basically the more feedback you give to the agent, we better. Unless you think the agent doing perfect already. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
assume that. We don't assume that, and we have this very easy for the restaurant staff to correct the bad behaviors, tell him what to do. And then the other side, it's also a tremendous investment. Yeah.
Yes.
So in general, even using ChatGPT very recently, right? They've been working at this for years. Very recently improved a major improvement in memory improvement. If it's hard for ChatGPT, it's very hard for us as a small company. But we really invest in that because think about how can you get better? You have to remember. If you don't remember, like I can tell you, ChatGPT 3.5 didn't remember nothing, remember much. The new one is much better, but you have to make the agent remember each and every guest, right? That's how you perfect that experience.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, it's we're not perfect, but we definitely recognize how important and how challenging this is, and this is our approach. Yeah.
I love that. Maria, I could talk all day, but why don't you give our listener,
Yeah.
it fascinates me. I'm blown away. I watch YouTube videos every day almost about how these large language models can make my life and our customers' lives better. So I love that you guys are investing in really those end users that are having to take the phone calls and having to figure out all of this. They've got so many things on their plate. And so I love that you guys are investing in a solution to really help make their lives better. And so if people want to learn more, if they want to, you already threw it out,
Hmm.
Palona.AI / food and beverage or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
is that really where they learn more? Should they connect with you? Is there anything specific you would direct them to have them get
Yeah.
educated about these things and stay up to
Yeah.
date?
Absolutely. Come visit our website and then also just connect me on LinkedIn. And I'm also going to the National Restaurant Show. Just drop me a note. I am an experienced computer science, computer engineer, but a passionate amateur chef and definitely a foodie. I really love this is at the intersection of my professional life and personal passion. So I love talk to restaurateurs. I find all of you very fascinating. So
Love that.
yeah, I just love to just have a chat, just LinkedIn website, or see you at the next restaurant show.
So, what is your go-to item for a party? You have a dinner party at your house tonight. What are you making? What's your go-to foodie item that you're making at the house?
Yeah. It depends if I want to be like a hands-on, everybody involved. I love to host a dumpling party. Yeah, so I
Okay,
will make the dough and roll the skin and make the fillings and different flavors and have everybody make the dumplings. It's very crafty. So that's like let's all roll up our sleeves and work together
that
type.
sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I've got to figure out how to do a dumpling party.
But if it's just quick and easy, of course, love to order some delicious pizza and throw some salad. Everybody loves that. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm an amateur cook. So,
I love that. Maria, I said it
yeah,
earlier. I am blown away with how the speed of technology, and quite frankly, even the last
yeah,
5 years in my life, the technology and the advancement has accelerated so greatly. And it's ultimately, when done right, it's going to make restaurants and consumers' life so much easier. So thank you
yeah.
guys for doing that. To our listeners, guys, you guys have got lots of choices. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the show on your favorite listener and make it a great day.
Thank you so much.